Alright guys, thanks for joining me today. My name is Jabberwocky, and first of all, I'm just gonna quickly just go over the best ways to level, as well as the proper way to do it. Now this is an open world exploration adventure, kind of gives you a sense of almost like a Conan meets Elder Scrolls, meets a little bit of Dark Souls. Um, Now a big thing with this is every zone has creatures of certain level ranges. That you have your starter regions. So if we're going to go to the map here, you've got Cutlass Keys, First Light, Windsward, Monarch's Bluff, and Everfall. Those are your starting regions, and you can tell while you zoom in, they've got these watchtowers, and that's where the noobs will spawn. So with this, you're going to want to level in these areas exclusively by traveling to all of the different starter cities to do their main quest lines. Especially as you complete a main quest line or you get to like a stopping point because it's too hard in one town, you'll want to go out and do the next one. And what I like to do is you grab your faction quests. Once you're at level 10, you can do factions. You pick your faction, you do your faction quests, whether you're PvP flagged or not. If you're okay with potentially getting killed while you're trying to get that XP buff, you you do a round of faction quests while also doing whatever main storyline quests you have on the map at that time. Then you would come back, you turn everything in, you refine, you drop stuff off in storage shed, you get all these levels for your territory standings, and obviously with that you want to prioritize your XP gain, your standing gain, maybe even when you get to start grinding out faction missions even harder, you want like getting more tokens, and then storage for your shed, wherever places you're maining all your stuff at. But primarily it's standing gain and XP, just to speed those two along. Gathering is gathering speed, not the amount, so I decided that wasn't actually worth it once I was done with Monarch's Bluff. So, moving on. You go to all these 5 different starter regions. You do your faction quests, you do your main storyline quests, and as you progress in levels, all of a sudden now, let's say you were at Monarch's Bluff and you hit a stopping point because the next main storyline quest was a little bit too hard for you at that time. Well, maybe after you did a bunch of leveling in Windsward, Cutlass Keys, First Light, Everfall, all of a sudden now you can go back to Monarch's Bluff and you can do that quest, and then you can start hitting up those ones that were starting to get a little harder too as you move around these 5 maps. By the time you finish this, you should be in your 30s easily, and you can do that in 2 days. You could be at level 30 something with a good stockpile of resources, whether it's for your crafting stuff or you're just stockpiling resources in general, because you don't want to be wasting a lot of things. So from level 1 to about 32, 33, you should be doing all of this. Because once you get too high of a level, all of this kind of becomes not worth it. That's why I have all these house quests, these main storyline quests that I just haven't finished yet. Because it's just too time consuming, even if I could breeze through them. And it doesn't give me much for rewards. Now, another thing to keep in mind is tier 2 gear. You spend a lot of time in tier 2. So using your gathering that you get while you're out doing all of this is important to refine and make into stuff for tier 2. Bags, more importantly than anything else, as well as jewelry, because those are the 2 things that moving forward you'll be able to make the most use out of without worrying about like getting drops and stuff. Some jewelry you'll get really good pieces from when you finish house quests, rings especially. But you want to get your jewel crafting up so you can do more pendants and earrings. And then you want to get your bag crafting up because that is vital, being able to carry more. Outside of that, I would say spam those resources to make tier 2 weapons so you can make really good tier 2 weapons that can compete with tier 3 stuff until they start dropping for you in the mid-20s. Right, so moving on, one big issue you'll see is, I actually even have a clip on my Twitch where there was a level 27 in Morningdale running around PvP flagged. I almost one-shot that guy with 1 leaping strike on my sword. And I'm built 40-something constitution with 40-something strength, so I'm not even a full DPS build. If I was full strength, he would have died with the 60 attribute soft cap. Just in case you guys didn't know that, 60 is the soft cap on your attribute points. You'll get diminishing returns after that. That's why I have a mix. So, what you want to do when you finish those 5 starting regions, and you're in your either your late 20s or your early 30s in your levels. You want to go to Brightwood. And what I did was I did the entire storyline for Brightwood, I ran into, my elite final mission on this little island here, and it was tough. I had to grab two more friends to do it with, but we had fun, and we ran into another group of three dudes that were doing it at the same time, so we were able to breeze right through it. You do all of Brightwood. Now, the reason why you do this is for a couple things. One, you have gotten the entire experience of like the beachy theme being out here. Now you go to Brightwood, you get a whole new theme to explore with all different mobs. You get access to more, to I think better resources in a better way, and you get access to more of them in some aspects. But you also get the experience of going to a place that is completely different for a biome, and you're not rushing. You're doing the same thing. You're grabbing your faction quest, you're grabbing your main storyline quest, and you're going around. You're exploring this area while also doing your questing and getting your XP. And because you've done it in the right pathing, now it feels very you feel on par with the mobs. Some of them might feel even a little weaker, but you feel like you're at the right level, which is important because you get to have that nice steady pace for your leveling. When you finish Brightwood, you're going to want to move on to Weaver's Fen. A lot of people hang out down in the southeast for oil. Personally, during the preview, I don't see any point because that's for making tier 3, and at that point, mobs are already dropping you better tier 3 stuff than what you're going to make by trying to even collect enough oil to do so. So, not worth it. Hopefully they have more opportunities to get oil down the road. I don't know of any. But anyways, level in Weaver's Fen. It's a little bit of an awkward place. It's a grimy biome that kind of makes you almost feel like a worse version of Brightwood in terms of the dreariness. But that's okay. It's a different biome altogether. Once again, it comes with its own challenges. You've got the swamps. You've got to be careful about getting stuck in waist-deep water where you can't run, and alligators trying to eat you and chase you down, because they will absolutely destroy players if played incorrectly. So you go to Weaver's Fen, you do your leveling, and once you're done, you're going to be in your late 30s, close to 40, if not maybe even in your early 40s. Now you have two choices here. I recommend going to Morningdale because you're going to encounter more mobs that are in like their mid and late 30s and a little bit in the early 40s. And it's a great place. It's a really fun place. It's got a really easy path. It does have some obnoxious mountain ranges around here and up here, but you don't really go up here too often. And you will get faction quests that are in Eden Grove. Don't even bother. Like, for example, this bridge here is guarded by mobs that are like level 57. So you're not going to go do your faction quests out there. Eden Grove is like step 2 of this corrupted area. So you go to Morningdale, you get the ones that are inside the territory borders, and you do your main storyline quests. You get a lot of really good things out of it. This place called Stephen's Claim. It's got a bunch of ghosts. You get a bunch of iron from there, a couple loot chests, and they drop a lot of really great fire and healing staffs. I feel like more than most other areas. And by the time you finish the final ghost, whether it's for this main storyline or just doing it for farming, the first one, the one in the front has respawned again. So it's a great place to farm if you're a mage user. So you finish Morningdale, and then you have two options from here. Now you can go down to Restless Shore, where it's a little bit trickier to traverse sometimes, but the mobs are going to be in their late 30s to like all the way up to like 44, 45. I have decided to skip Restless Shore only because I didn't care much for it. The landscape I thought was a little too much of a pain in the butt to travel around, but that's your next option to keep the flow going and hit all the different biomes if you want to get like that island feel. If not, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to move back over to Brightwood, and you're going to move up and into the Great Cleave. So what I did was I set my inn for the Eastburn Outpost, and as you can see, there's all of these level 45 solo, like small group size portals opening up in this area, and then also down here. So what you do is now you're at that point where you're on the 4th out of 5th tier for your factions for unlocks with your tokens. Or you should be. That's why we do those rotations of the faction quests with our house quests, because it might take you a little bit longer, but it's a really great way of kind of keeping track, staying on top of everything, basically. So now you come out here, and we do what I'm calling like my corrupted crusade. I'm coming out to this outpost, and I'm kind of role playing it where I'm staying here on like the forward outpost, on the front lines of fighting off the corrupted in their own territory before it comes down south. It's a great way to earn. You earn over 1,000 faction tokens per portal, and when there's enough people out there, you can sometimes group up with other factions to do the bigger ones, and you just get so much loot, so much Azoth, so much faction tokens out there that you cap out really quick. So when you cap out, you just fast travel. I was working out of Morningdale, and I decided that this is going to be like my place to be, outside of being in the corrupted zones. So I'll fast travel back to Morningdale. I will use my tokens to either buy something or wait or save up until I get max out on them and try to get to level 50 to get the unlock, and then I go back out there again. Now at level 50, I should be able to do this fairly easily, so I can cap out my 20,000 to start getting like the tier 5 faction gear that I want. Because what you're doing is you're gearing yourself up not only to get into groups to do Scorpius, but you're preparing yourself to get into the level 50s, uh, whether it's through just this or also then going back to one of these two areas, Morningdale or Restless Shores, and doing faction quests for XP so you can start getting to the early 50s. Once you hit 50, 51, 52, you can start getting that good faction gear, and you're ready to start taking on these bridge keepers. Get in here, work your way into Eden Grove, get to the outpost that also has quests, main story quests, and now you're in your second part, tier 2 of the Crusades. You know, where you explore this whole area, you take it on with your buddies, you set up camps, and you kind of roleplay like you're just kind of on this grand adventure to cleanse the corrupted in their own lands once again. And then by the time you're done with this, you're ready for the end game content. You're geared. You've taken enough time. Now it might take you like a week, like say with the way preview's running. If you weren't spamming a lot of crafting, you could do it in a week, 7 days, maybe 8 days, depending on how much you play and how efficient you are with it, like your classes and stuff, and if you have a group or not. But we'll say a week to 10 days. You're ready for this end game content. Now you move into Shattered Mountain and you start doing all the really end game cool stuff. So the reason why I say all this, guys, is because you see a lot of people that are way under leveled trying to like speed farm themselves to try to get to end game by going into these other regions, and the enemy mobs are in red, their names, because they're so over leveled on you that the chances of you killing them is very slim unless you kite it out really well. But then you're taking like 10 times as long to kill a mob that you should, and they're dropping gear that you can't even wear because you're not the high enough level. So really the point is the game is not designed for you to just try to speed level to the very end. You don't gain anything out of this. So what you should do, just like if you were to play a Skyrim, or if you were playing some of those more open world like survival games of like an Ark or a Conan, get out and explore. You know, really enjoy the time that they put into making Brightwood and Weaver's Fen. I really enjoyed going from like a beachy theme into this haunted woods-esque theme for Brightwood. I really enjoyed it. Different mobs, different combos. I whipped out some different weapons and tried out some different builds. It was a lot of fun, and it was one of those things where by the time I got to Morningdale, I felt ready. You know, if I ran into other players that were flagged for PvP that were going to be a couple levels, I knew they would only be like maybe a couple levels higher than me, because I knew that past 45 they might start venturing up here. So I felt good about it. You know, I had that clip of that 27, and that's just not the way to do it. If you think that the best way to get through this preview is by trying to find the cheesiest way, speed farming ways to just get up there to the end game content, you're wrong. Because first of all, if you skip a bunch of content or if you blow through a bunch of content just to get to end game, you're going to be that much less excited about game release, because you'll have seen just a little bit of everything, and it'll feel like a lot less surprise. In these 10 days, if I don't get to Shattered Mountains, I know that's going to be my goal that I'm going to be extremely happy and looking forward to moving forward on release, especially knowing they're planning on adding more endgame content and more of a polish overall on game release. So enjoy the game, enjoy the journey, take it a little bit at a time, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? I'll be on Twitch streaming through the rest of the preview. We'll see if we can get to Shattered Mountain until then. Take care, guys.